Poor folks, leave now.
Today, I'm here attending my sister's marriage meeting with her fiancé's parents. It was supposed to be a celebratory mood, but suddenly, the fiancé's mother blurted out to leave. Everyone present was shocked by the sudden outburst. For a moment, I thought it was a joke, but it seems she was serious. I hesitated but was about to leave, though being verbally abused and then running away with my tail between my legs is not in my nature. So I found myself blurting out this response. Then am firing your husband, okay?
What?
After that, the fiancé's mother ended up regretting her words. My name is Gene Simmons. I'm turning 43 this year. I have a younger sister named Irene, who is 9 years younger than me. We lost our parents early. So, ever since my sister was in middle school until she became an adult, I worked hard to fill in as her parent. Our parents passed away when my sister was 11 and I was 18. It was so sudden that at the time, there was hardly any time to think. There were talks of us being taken in by relatives, but I just couldn't bear to let my sister suffer, so I gave up on going to college and decided to get a job instead. I thought if I got a job, my sister and I could keep living together in the childhood house. Even though I only had a high school diploma when I got employed, and we weren't exactly well off, my sister still seemed happy and smiled a lot. When my sister started high school, I took on an additional part-time job to afford her tuition. I was desperate to make sure she wouldn't have to give up on further education because of financial reasons. But with me working hard, I managed to send her to college safely. Thanks to her studying hard, she managed to get a scholarship that didn't require interest, so we managed. Now, I'm already 43 years old. I've got a wonderful wife, and next in line is my sister getting married. She has been living with her fiancé, Eddie Murphy, for a while, and he apparently proposed to her recently.
Hey, Gene, can you come to my marriage meeting with Eddie's parents in place of Mom and Dad?
Requested by my sister for attending her marriage meeting, I am now on my way to the designated restaurant. It was a private dining restaurant located in the city. Due to work, I'm used to places like this, but today is different. With it being my sister's marriage meeting, I am the most nervous I've ever been. Even though I've raised my sister as a parent would, honestly, I don't even know how to face this. Feeling this tension and conflict, I entered the restaurant. In the room I was guided to by the staff, my sister Irene, her fiancé Eddie, and her soon-to-be mother-in-law Eleanor were already there. Apparently, her soon-to-be father-in-law Howard, who is supposed to be busy with work, will join us later. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting.
Really now, how long do you think we've been waiting?
Whoa, Mom. What are you starting off with? We haven't been waiting that long.
As soon as I entered the room, I was taken aback by Eleanor's harsh words. Indeed, it was bad that I kept them waiting, but I arrived 5 minutes earlier than the agreed time. Yet, she took a very aggressive attitude right off the bat, which made me brace myself. This person might be quite troublesome. My bad feeling about this was soon to prove right.
To think he's marrying a woman 6 years older. There were surely younger girls available.
Cut it out. Today is for the marriage meeting.
Consider having kids though, wouldn't that be tough?
Despite my sister and I being right there, Eleanor mentioned such things. Looking at my sister, she seemed embarrassed and looked down. Well, nowadays, choosing not to have children is also an option.
I will never allow that. Eddie is our only son. We need an heir.
Hearing the word heir, I recalled what I'd heard about the Murphy family. From what my sister told me, Eddie is a teacher, and Howard is a regular employee. And Eleanor has been a homemaker for many years, and it's not like they have a family tree or anything. I wondered about the need for an heir, but I guess some people still think that way.
Irene is 34 years old this year, right?
Yes, I just turned 34 recently.
Certainly, the skin elasticity is different from someone in their 20s. What happened with the girl you dated before?
Why are we talking about that now? I told you, it's over with my ex-girlfriend.
I've only been at this restaurant for about 20 minutes, but it seems Eleanor is not too pleased about this marriage. Sure, some might prefer marrying someone younger. However, they both consented to this marriage meeting, making Eleanor's comments overly selfish. I wanted to retort, but for my sister's sake, I held back. If I spoke out rashly and she decided not to approve the marriage, I could never face my sister again.
I could have introduced you to a younger girl.
Mom, please, enough.
Eleanor dominated the conversation, saying whatever she wanted. I wish she would consider how it feels to be on the receiving end. Just before my anger peaked, I was gripping my fist tightly under the table. I clenched it so hard in my fury that my nails dug into my palm, starting to redden. At that moment, Eleanor asked an even more offensive question.
By the way, was it Jean? What kind of work do you do?
Well, that's...
Is it that you can't say? Are you not a full-time employee?
No, I'm not a full-time employee. At that moment, Eleanor covered her mouth in surprise. I hesitated to state my real job, not wanting to say it here, and somehow my vague answer was misunderstood by Eleanor.
At your age, being a part-timer or a temp is unbelievable. My husband is working respectable jobs.
No, I do work properly.
That's not what you call working. In this day and age, not being a full-time employee. You didn't just finish high school, did you?
I've been raising my sister as a parent since high school, so yes, I'm a high school graduate. Eleanor began holding her head in disbelief. The one getting married is my sister, so why does my job matter? But to Eleanor, it seems important. By the way, after graduating college, Irene became a teacher. She is a wonderful teacher adored by her students, but Eleanor doesn't seem to like either of us. And then, she finally said something outrageous.
Poor people, leave.
Excuse me, what do you mean by that?
Just what it sounds like. I've decided that you don't fit into our family lineage.
At the sudden insult, everyone except Eleanor was stunned.
What are you saying, Mom?
Exactly. Why would you say something like that?
Even my sister couldn't help but retort. My sister takes pride in being raised by me as a parental figure, and she's always grateful and appreciative. A good kid. It seemed that my sister was furious about me being looked down upon, glaring fiercely at Eleanor.
See, that's just like a poor person to get all worked up.
Well, of course I'm worked up. My brother has raised me well.
Save the sob story. Just go home already.
Despite my sister's fierce rebuttals, Eleanor seemed indifferent and was trying to kick us out. That was the last straw for me. I was contemplating leaving the scene, but being berated thoroughly and then fleeing with my tail between my legs isn't in my nature. Without thinking, I found myself saying, Then I'm firing your husband, okay?
What? What are you talking about?
It seemed Eleanor didn't understand my words and looked puzzled.
What do you mean? Explain yourself quickly.
I mentioned I'm not a full-time employee because I'm actually a president of a company.
What, huh? A president? Did I hear that wrong?
I'm Gene Simmons, president of the company where your husband Howard works. As I reintroduced myself, I pulled a business card from my breast pocket and handed it to her. Eleanor's hand trembled slightly as she took the card, staring at it as if to bore a hole through it. Having previously called my work mere temp or part-time, she hadn't expected me to be a president. She looked like she got hit by a pellet gun.
A president? That's just not possible.
Why is that not possible?
Because you said you worked right out of high school to raise your sister.
Just because I did that doesn't mean I couldn't become a president, right? Yes, I had studied hard. I gave up my dreams to raise my sister properly. But as she grew up, I started to chase my dreams again. Eventually, I established my own company, which has grown so large it's considered a major corporation now. Many companies approach me wanting to do business, and we hardly ever run deficits. Eleanor, who had been looking down on me, was at a loss on how to interact now that she realized I was the president of her husband's company.
Sorry about earlier. Seems I misunderstood. Please forgive me.
Eleanor finally apologized, but her attitude clearly wasn't that of someone who was truly sorry. Seeing her laughing carelessly, I realized I didn't want my sister marrying into this kind of place. Sorry, Irene, but I can't really support this marriage. It was about 30 minutes into the marriage meeting when I muttered this. The door to the private room opened at that moment. It seemed Howard, who had been delayed for work, had just arrived. Noticing the tense atmosphere, he cautiously entered the room.
What's going on? Is it because I was late?
No, there was a little disagreement with Eleanor.
A disagreement? Wait, aren't you Gene? What are you doing here?
I knew that my sister's fiancé's father was an employee, but it seems Howard didn't know that I was her brother. He looked at me with a surprised expression. Then, as Howard spoke, it finally dawned on Eleanor who I was, and she started to sweat profusely on her forehead.
Hey, is this person really the president? Say it's a lie.
Gene is our president. I hope you haven't said anything disrespectful.
Howard, sensing the heavy atmosphere, raised his voice at Eleanor.
I didn't say anything. It's not my fault. They were the ones who refused to approve the marriage.
Refused? What do you mean, Gene? What happened?
Eleanor said that poor people should leave. I then recounted everything that had happened. Howard listened calmly at first, but his expression grew more severe as the conversation progressed. Anyone would look stern if they found out their wife had made such outrageous remarks to the president of the company they work for.
Eleanor, what have you done?
It's your fault for not telling me from the start that he was the president.
Enough. Why can't you admit your own fault?
I would think the same if I were in Howard's position. Seeing Eleanor still refusing to admit her fault, I could guess Howard had been through a lot with her before. Perhaps this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Thinking about it made me feel sorry for Howard. Anyway, if Irene married into the Murphy family, she would likely face harassment from Eleanor. I just can't bring myself to accept marriage, knowing my sister, whom I've cared for and nurtured all these years, is enduring days of harassment. Irene watched the situation with concern. What should I do? At that moment, Howard, looking resolute, said,
I will divorce Eleanor. Please allow Eddie and Irene's marriage.
This was unexpected. I never thought I'd hear such words from Howard. I knew Howard's work ethic as someone who excelled in bringing people together more than pursuing personal gain. I thought he would somehow calm Eleanor down, but it seems that was not the case.
What do you mean by divorce? What are you suddenly saying?
A joke. Do you know how much I've endured?
Endured? That's an exaggeration. You're not really going to divorce, right?
To Eleanor's question, Howard didn't respond and just stared down at the table in front of him. Clearly, Eleanor had caused various troubles before, and Howard had been suffering each time. In the end, he wished for his son's happiness, even if it meant cutting off Eleanor. For Eleanor, being divorced now would be a serious issue. I had heard she had been a homemaker for decades, and seeing her always dressed in branded clothes suggested she likely had spending habits. If divorced, she would struggle even to maintain her lifestyle, and it didn't seem like she had any intention to work.
Jean, how about this? Eleanor will no longer be involved, so please allow the marriage.
Well, if that's the case, I do want my sister to be happy.
Thank you very much.
Indeed, if it weren't for Eleanor, I would gladly let my sister marry into their family. So, Howard's proposal isn't a bad one for me. After all, the only person who would be troubled by a divorce here is Eleanor, and she herself is the cause of it. Even if I agreed to the marriage in exchange for a divorce, no one around would complain.
Wait, why are you deciding things on your own?
I've been thinking about divorce for a while now. I've reached my limit. Here's the divorce papers.
Howard said as he pulled them from the inner pocket of his suit jacket. Apparently, he had been feeling this way for some time, and seeing the completed divorce papers, it seems he wasn't far from finalizing it.
How am I supposed to live if you divorce me?
That's not my problem. Figure it out yourself. Just go home for today.
In a daze, Eleanor was led out of the private room by Howard. After a while, Howard returned to the room.
I apologize for the disturbance. Shall we continue our conversation?
Yes, let's toast to their marriage as a celebration. Although there was a slight awkwardness for a moment, the four of us enjoyed our meal. As we were leaving, my sister stopped me and said,
I was really happy when you clearly said you couldn't approve the marriage earlier.
Really? I was wondering if I was being too forward.
No, I love that about you. Please continue to be the thoughtful brother you are.
With those words, Irene and Eddie left. After that, the marriage preparations progressed quickly, and soon it was the wedding day. When I arrived at the venue, Eleanor was nowhere to be seen there. Curious, I asked Howard about it. Excuse me, have you divorced Eleanor already by any chance?
Yes, we divorced shortly after that. She was invited, but she insisted on not coming.
You managed to get her to agree to the divorce.
I pointed out her misuse of the household finances. I told her to pay it back immediately or choose divorce, and she chose divorce.
It seems Eleanor was hit where it hurt and had no choice but to agree to the divorce. The wedding went off without a hitch, and the two were happily married. They might face many challenges ahead, but I sincerely hope they will be happy. I bless them with such wishes in my heart. About firing Howard, of course, I had no such intention. I had heard he was a competent employee, and I only said that to scare Eleanor. But if Howard had been a bad person, firing him might have been an option. Later, I would learn about Eleanor's situation after the divorce. I imagine it's been tough, but how are things now?
I'm fine. Eleanor, on the other hand, seems to be having a hard time.
What do you mean by tough?
She went back to her parents' home, but apparently, she doesn't get along well with them.
Eleanor had always done as she pleased, even when she was living at her parents', becoming mostly estranged after she got married. Eleanor went back to her parents' house after the divorce, but she wasn't welcomed warmly. She refuses to work, causing trouble for her parents. Eventually, she agreed to help around the house and was allowed to stay, but only under the condition that she must move out within a year, which caused her to throw a fit. That sounds tough for her parents.
I do feel a bit guilty about it. But what is she planning to do next?
That's something only Eleanor can figure out. 6 months later, I heard that Eleanor started a part-time job while living at her parents' house. However, her overbearing attitude didn't change, and she was fired within a month. A year has passed, and my sister Irene and Eddie have moved to the area where my wife and I live. I thought they chose to be near us at their will. But it turned out they just found a good property nearby. Since they moved close to us, we seem to see each other more often. Recently, we had a barbecue in our yard, and next, we're planning a home party. It seems my wife and Irene have hit it off, going out together once a week. That's why we decided to have a home party. Eddie and I were told we just have to show up, so I'm looking forward to enjoying the meal they'll prepare. I eat my wife's cooking every day, but it's been years since I've had my sister's cooking. Back in the day, she used to make delicious meals for me when I came home from work. Chicken soup, macaroni and cheese, stews, and omelets. She made a variety of dishes, and I always look forward to coming home. Thinking back on those days, I'm eagerly awaiting the day of the house party. When I first met Eleanor during the marriage meeting, I wondered how things would turn out, but I'm glad it all worked out in the end. It ended badly for Eleanor, but that was the result of her own actions. I've vowed to become even kinder to people, to protect my own happiness in the future.